The nuclear power plant in Citrus County is shutting down.
The nuclear industry is being dismantled.
Just a few years ago, nuclear power looked doomed in America.
The San Onofre nuclear plant is shutting down for good.
Some people loved that.
Anti-nuclear activists rejoiced at the news.
And I started to cry.
Politicians even bragged about closing plants.
14 years ahead of schedule.
And people applauded.
Why would they applaud? They shut down New York's finest source of clean energy? You got to be kidding me.
Former nuclear engineer Ray Rothrock now invests in nuclear energy because it's reliable and relatively clean. He's met with presidents to talk about that, but
nothing was ever addressed.
Until now.
We will embrace all forms of energy, including nuclear.
President Trump has ordered the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to speed up licensing of new plants.
Essentially turning the NRC into a rubber stamp rather than a trusted safety regulator.
Democratic senators are upset.
That's not a conducive situation to nuclear safety.
Flagrant disregard for nuclear safety.
That's just a bunch of crap. They're afraid of something that they don't need to be afraid of.
We don't need to be afraid of nuclear power?
The first step in a nuclear nightmare.
I was a young reporter when the media got hysterical about
the United States' worst commercial nuclear power accident.
3 Mile Island was happening, was in the news every night. Time magazine was running articles, cover stories, all this. Thought the whole nuclear industry was coming apart.
The China Syndrome movie, coincidentally released days before the accident, increased fears. It suggested a nuclear accident could burn a hole all the way to China.
The China Syndrome. Only a handful of people know what it really means. And they're scared.
You're laughing, but to people, they thought it meant that the thing would burn all the way through the earth to China.
I guess they don't understand the first principle of gravity, right? You can only go halfway because that's where it stops. 3 Mile Island did melt, and gosh, did it melt to China? I don't think it did. And nobody was hurt. Imagine that.
The public didn't understand.
No, they didn't.
After 3 Mile Island,
a blast at the Daiichi nuclear power plant in Fukushima.
There was that nuclear accident in Japan.
The lives upended by radioactive fallout.
Radiation did escape.
The Fukushima meltdowns contaminated hundreds of square miles of northeastern Japan.
But again, the radiation didn't harm people. The media distorted the risk. People did die from the tsunami, and more died during the government-ordered evacuation.
The Japanese government ordered an evacuation of everyone within 2 miles of Fukushima Daiichi.
But no one died or even got sick from nuclear radiation. The UN concluded that the extra radiation would have no discernible health effects. Most people don't realize that radiation is everywhere. Just flying gives you radiation. Living in Denver exposes you to radiation.
Yeah, living on the beach in Brazil.
Bizarrely, this beach has natural radiation at levels that are worse than our government's safety standards.
30 times the safety standard.
And yet they don't get more cancer.
They don't.
Why take any risks? Why don't we just use solar and wind?
Wind stops blowing sometimes.
And solar only works when there's sun. On top of that,
you need a lot of land for solar, a lot of land for wind. Start throwing in all those costs, and it's pretty darn expensive.
So why don't more countries do what France does? Get most of their power from nuclear plants.
Thousands of anti-nuclear protesters marched through Tokyo.
Because the anti-nuclear protest movement has been so strong.
I say no, you say nukes. No! Nukes! No!
That led to excessive regulation in America.
We're wasting too much time on permitting.
Regulators spend millions analyzing whether a community is a good place for a nuclear plant. Even when
we've been running nuclear in that community for 4 decades. Why are we even asking that question?
The Nuclear Regulatory Commission's cumbersome rules pretty much stopped American nuclear power innovation.
Thou shalt do it this way. Thou shalt have that. Thou shalt have this. The regulator said, well, if it takes a 3-foot, 6-inch wall to protect from the radiation on this side of the wall, from the people on that side of the wall, why don't you make it 4? Better still, why don't you make it 10?
Just to get approval for a new plant.
It got to be 5, 6, 7 years. And then people stopped completely. No new.
Just give up. Just don't even
Don't
try.
even do it. So for 30 years, literally 30 years, the NRC has not seen a new reactor proposal.
The regulators rarely adjust rules for new technology. They require this big dome, a safety feature for water-cooled reactors. But some new reactors are not even cooled by water.
They're not pressurized, so there's no need for a dome. But the rules say you have to build a dome.
Only now has that rule been changed. And there's finally a limit on how long bureaucrats can spend reviewing reactor designs, 18 months. But government is always slow. More than a year's passed since Trump issued his orders. But things now are finally turning around. For the first time in 10 years, a new reactor has been approved.
It's expected to power up to 400,000 homes.
A Michigan plant that had been closed will be started up again.
Making history as the first nuclear plant to reopen in the U.S.
But again, activists complain.
This nuclear nightmare is back. You can have a full-blown reactor core meltdown.
But this time they're losing. And 18 other reactors have had their operating licenses extended. In addition,
a new generation of advanced reactors is in development that some say could signal the dawn of a new nuclear age.
On top of that, private entrepreneurs are making safer and better fuels.
The uranium in each one of these balls produces about as much power as about 4 tons of coal.
And reactors that are easier to install.
Valor will mass manufacture reactors and deploy hundreds of them at each location.
One company's building a prototype that Google will use to power a data center.
The goal is a standardized design that can be built over and over with shorter timelines and lower costs.
If bureaucrats get out of the way, we'll soon have cheap, clean energy that'll make the world a better place. Thanks for watching. Politicians and bureaucrats often get in the way, but the media rarely covers it because regulation's boring. We cover it. To help us keep doing that, click that button.